Welcome to the vlog, YouTube channel, video thing. Not sure how to intro these yet. I'm not going to take you into the cupboards and might not even take you into the cupboards. I seem to have locked myself out. Spoiler alert. Let's get that in focus, shall we? Look at this, expert YouTubing. That's probably not news to you coming from a nutritionist, but eat some fruit and veg. I've half-arsed it if I'm honest, but let's crack on anyway. Hello, Marcus here from NewBee Nutrition. Hope you're all doing well. Just wanted to make a quick video because I'm trying to be as helpful as possible in the current situation. Obviously we're living in unprecedented times with the whole coronavirus situation. Everyone's on lockdown, everyone's in their homes, and everyone's trying to kind of boost their immunity. I've got a lot of questions about how do I boost my immunity at a time like this? How do I make sure that I don't catch the virus? So what I'm going to do is just kind of talk you through the stuff that I've been buying. We're going to have a tour of my cupboards, which is going to be really exciting. And I'm going to talk you through basically what I've been thinking about when I've been buying food recently, what I'm prioritising from a nutrition standpoint. Please excuse the building site in the background. Somebody's decided to build a whole new house next to mine, which is really good when you're working from home. By the way, I'm not going to take you into the cupboards and might not even take you into the cupboards. I seem to have locked myself out. There we go. So I'm not going to take you into the cupboards and show you that they're full of magical pills and potions and green tea and turmeric and all these magical herbal solutions that are going to boost my immunity. What I'm going to show you is food, and I'm going to talk you through some of the principles that I'm thinking about when I'm buying that food. So why have I bought that item? Why is it good? Why have I chosen that over something else, etc, etc. So I'll talk you through some of the basic principles that I'm thinking about in terms of nutrition at the moment first. So let's do that. So before we get to the cupboards, and I know you're dying to see the cupboards, they're really exciting. They're really exciting. What I'm going to do is talk you through my thought processes behind each of those items of food and what I'm prioritising at the moment. So that boils down to some basic nutrition principles. So first of all, we probably know that energy balance is the most important factor in most nutrition conversations. So what are we doing in terms of energy balance at a time like this? Realistically, this is not really a time to be in a calorie deficit. It's not really a time to be prioritising losing weight. In reality, we want to be eating at least at maintenance calories in order for our bodies to have sufficient energy to fight off any infections, any viruses that do happen to come into contact with it. We want to help our immune system to be as strong as possible, and this means probably not restricting energy. Energy restriction can downgrade immunity, both in terms of innate immunity and adaptive immunity. So we want to be eating probably at maintenance calories. So that's the first thing. Second thing is to prioritize micronutrients. So we want to be prioritizing getting as many varieties of fruit and veg as possible in order to make sure that we've got enough of a spectrum of micronutrients in our diets so that our immune system has all the tools that it needs to fight off infection and viruses. Now, that's probably not news to you coming from a nutritionist, but eat some fruit and veg. Frozen is fine, by the way, and you'll probably see some frozen veg in my freezer. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. There's frozen veg in the freezer. Next thing is protein. So protein is really important for immune function, for building antibodies, for making sure that we don't lose muscle mass at a time like this, which I know a lot of you guys are concerned about. So protein, making sure that each meal has a good serving of protein. So I'll walk you through some of the protein sources that I've bought and my thinking behind those. Next is fats. So getting a good variety of naturally occurring fats, ideally. So we're talking about stuff like olive oil, like avocado, like nuts, seeds, stuff like that. getting a good variety of naturally occurring fats, and also making sure that either A, we're eating 2 servings of oily fish per week, or B, we're supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids, because those are brilliant for our immune system, for overall health. They're a nutraceutical, meaning that the pharmaceutical industry couldn't come up with something that good even if it tried. Next thing is probably stuff like supplements. So it's really sunny outside at the moment, so make sure that you're getting outside, getting some exercise is the first thing, only once per day though, and by doing that, when it's really sunny, you're getting some vitamin D. Otherwise, you should be supplementing with vitamin D3. That's great for immunity, it's great for calcium absorption, really good product that I would probably recommend to the majority of people if they're not getting sufficient sun exposure, which most of us in the UK, let's be honest, probably don't. Next thing is supplementing with zinc. That's a really good mineral to supplement with if you're looking to help your immune function. And the next thing would be prioritizing sleep. So this is a situation where we don't have to commute to work. We might be able to have the luxury of getting up a little bit later. So let's prioritize our sleep. Our sleep is one of the most important things that we can do for our overall health. So by prioritizing that, we're giving ourselves a really big helping hand in terms of our overall health and our immunity. So get between 7 and 9 hours per night at a minimum. Maximize that sleep. It's really, really important. So I won't delay it any longer. Let's get to the cupboards. Just to be clear, I'm not giving medical information here. I'm not saying eat these foods and you will beat coronavirus. I'm just saying these are some general tips for general immunity and what we should be prioritizing when we've got limited time, probably limited money in a lot of cases, and we've got limited ability to leave the house because we're all on lockdown.
Let's get to the cupboards. Let's get to the cupboards.
So, what's in the cupboards? I've just had to do a little tidy up because I know my other half would be mortified if our kitchen mess was on YouTube forevermore. So Tash, I hope this is okay. I've half-arsed it if I'm honest, but let's crack on anyway. First of all, we have the protein cupboard. So whey protein is brilliant at a time like this, so it's fairly low in calories, but it is very high in protein, obviously. So I use the Impact Whey Isolate. The Isolate I find just digests a little bit more easily for me, so I will use this for mixing with oats, which are also in here somewhere. So you can see the oats there, you can see whey protein, we've got a backup just in case. So oats, brilliant option for breakfast in terms of good carbohydrate source, good source of fibre, fairly easy to digest. So what I'll do in terms of the morning is I'll do my workout, then I'll come in and have whey protein mixed with some oats, mixed with some creatine powder, so creatine monohydrate, and then I'll mix that in with some milk and some fruit, and that's my breakfast. Whey protein I'd really recommend as a really convenient protein source. I've seen in the supermarkets quite a lot that a lot of the meat is like the first thing to sell out. So if you're struggling for a protein source, whey protein really comes into its own. My Protein is still delivering. As far as I know, all of the other protein companies are still delivering. So yeah, whey protein for the win. We've also got vitamin D3. Let's get that in focus, shall we? Look at this, expert YouTubing. Vitamin D supplementation for most people, particularly, sorry, that was probably really distracting, loud noise. Brilliant for calcium absorption, for bone strength, for reducing the potentially negative effects of being inside all day. So crack on with vitamin D3. So I've dug some other stuff out of that cupboard. It was a bit of a mess, so I've dug it out rather than try to show you it inside the actual cupboard. We've got some chopped tomatoes, obviously great for creating sauces. We've got legumes, so we've got some red lentils here for adding some extra volume to our meals. We've got some cans of mixed beans, kidney beans. Thing on kind of tinned beans is they're a great source of carbohydrates with some protein in them as well, like not as high in protein as something like a meat, and don't be fooled when people say that they're an amazing source of protein. They do have some protein in, but mainly carbohydrates. Great source of fibre, really, really good in terms of having a long shelf life. So at a time like this, having some beans in the house is going to be really beneficial. So let's move along here. So we have some kind of tinned fish, essentially. So we've got some tinned salmon there, some tuna, we've got some anchovies there. So in terms of tinned fish, again, in terms of shelf life, we're onto a winner there because they'll probably last forever. I've not checked the actual sell-by date on them, but I'm presuming that they're pretty long life. Great sources of protein. I've included the pink salmon there because oily fish is really important for immunity. We might not be able to get as much kind of fresh fish at this time. A lot of it is selling out quite quickly in the supermarkets, I've noticed. So having some tinned salmon is really good to try and ensure that you get those 2 servings of oily fish per week. And if you're not doing that, you should probably be looking into supplementing with an omega-3 fatty acid supplement. Next, we've got the kind of carbohydrate essentials, spaghetti, rice, we've got some sourdough bread there. In terms of the carbohydrates, I mean, I don't need really to talk you through reasons for buying spaghetti and rice, just good solid carbohydrate sources. Don't really need to go into much detail on that, to be honest. We have noticed that a lot of the bread is selling out quite quickly in supermarkets, so like people that thought they had non-celiac gluten insensitivity all of a sudden like eating bread again.
You don't even know what gluten
I know
is.
what fucking gluten is.
No, you have no idea
I
what.
do know what gluten is. Gluten's a vague term. It's something that's used to categorize things that are bad. You know, calories, that's a gluten. Fat, that's a gluten.
Somebody just told you probably shouldn't eat gluten. You're like, oh, I guess I shouldn't eat gluten.
Gluten means bad shit, man, and I'm not eating it.
You can make toast, obviously. I don't need to talk you through bread. You know what bread is, God's sake. So we've also got some potatoes here. We've got some sweet potato, we've got some normal potato. No real difference in terms of their nutritional content. People always argue for sweet potatoes. There's slightly more vitamin A in there, but from a calorie standpoint, from a fibre standpoint, from a overall nutrition standpoint, there's not a huge amount of difference. So it's just kind of personal preference which one you prefer and which one works best with that particular recipe. All of these foods are basically really, really good for like bulk cooking. So if you're making a recipe, make 4 times the portions and just put it in Tupperwares, freeze it, keep it for a while. So that way you know that you've always got a good kind of go-to option. Make sure that you're only buying what you need, leave what other people need for them, particularly kind of vulnerable people. So do what you can to help, do what you can to be as economical with food as you can. And then obviously we have a key ingredient in any quarantine, which is coffee. This one's from Ann Coates Coffee. Ann Coates, if you want to send me some free coffee, I'm game. Just like hit me up, you know. DeLonghi, are you going to send me a free coffee machine? Probably not. Let's move on. We've made it to the fridge, as you can see. So we've got 2 boxes of eggs. Eggs are a really good source of protein, really good source of fats. We talked about fats in the general principles. We talked about protein in the general principles. So eggs tick both of those boxes. Also, you don't need to worry about the cholesterol levels in eggs. I spoke about this in one of my blogs, so I'll link to that blog in the comments below. But basically, eggs are good. Yes. We'll skip past the alcohol section because they are genuinely not ours. We've got some chicken, so we've got some chicken breasts, and those are chicken thighs. So, spoke about protein earlier on, don't really need to go into that. We've got a big fuck off bag of spinach, mate. We've got some broccoli, we've got fruit, we've got veg. Where should we start with that? So fruit and veg, obviously we spoke about getting as much variety of fruit and veg as possible in your diet. particularly when you're trying to improve your health. We've also got, which is crucial in my life, which is skyr. So skyr is brilliant for protein. So as a kind of dessert type thing, I'll mix some skyr in with some peanut butter and some blueberries, and that makes a hyper palatable food, which is, it's unbelievable. It's honestly so good. All right, next up is the freezer. So we've got, you can't see what that is at all, can you? Let's take it out. So these are some of the things that I found in the freezer. So we've got 2 types of mince, beef mince, turkey mince, great for like bulk recipes, so like chili con carne. You can make turkey bolognese, you can make turkey chili. Just make sure that you probably double the amount of chili and spices that you put into that, because turkey chili naturally isn't as fatty, isn't as flavoursome, but it is still really, really tasty when you do kind of double the spice intake. So what else have we got? We've got some tuna steaks frozen. These I found, they were really cheap actually. We found them for like £4 for 4, considering a normal tuna steak is like £7 for a fresh one. So thinking that I can make some, well, there's a picture of tuna niçoise salad. I could do that, or I could just do it with some veg and a carbohydrate sauce. We've also got some pigs in blankets left over from Christmas, because you never know when you might need a pig in blanket in your life. It's isolation, comfort food. We've also got some frozen veg, frozen green beans, frozen berries. So this stuff loses none of its nutrients by being frozen. Frozen veg, frozen fruit are really, really good options if you're looking for kind of longevity of your food. In terms of the frozen berries, we'll usually use that for smoothies in the morning. Tasha's got into a really nice habit of making a smoothie after she goes for a run in the morning. So that's some of the stuff that I found in the freezer. Some of the other stuff that I didn't bother getting out was milk. We've managed to rob 2 bottles of milk from Tasha's workplace. We've also got this like weird tofu stuff that we were given by our vegan pal, and that we haven't got round to eating yet. So any tips for using weird, slightly spiced tofu, let me know. That was the freezer. We also had some kind of beers and wine in there, which honestly we haven't touched since Christmas. This is actually a really good opportunity to not have a drink if you're feeling like you needed some time off. On the other hand, it is a really good opportunity to have like virtual beers. Somebody had a virtual stag do the other night, which I thought was brilliant.
2 please. Lads.
Hope that was useful. Not sure if it was particularly helpful. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you found it interesting. Click like, click subscribe, click share, all of that stuff that you do on YouTube. Still getting the hang of it, so let me know what you thought.